Did we really need another C7 Corvette? Well, I guess this one is different because it's from the Trans Am series, as you can maybe tell from everything going on in the cockpit here. But holy moly, whoever set this one up for its stock tune should be fired. I'm serious, this is probably the worst experience I've ever had testing out stock cars for the GT series for multiplayer. And with that, welcome back to HD Racing. This is the 2018 Chevrolet number 23 Ruman Racing TA Corvette. So basically the Corvette C7 for the Trans Am series. And while this normally is a different racing series, in Forza Motorsport this is bundled up with the other GT cars in the Spec Series for multiplayer, for some reason. Just basically tuned down in terms of power, because the Trans Am cars normally do have quite a lot more power than the typical GT cars. But as I said before, whoever set this one up in its stock tune really either didn't know what he was doing or just didn't care. Because this drives so badly, I've never experienced anything like this. I just want to tell you this right off the bat. If you want to try out this car, which by the way just dropped with Car Pass, so yeah, it's available there. If you want to try it, do some tuning, at least a little bit, because some of the settings are so weird and make the car feel really bad, both in terms of acceleration, like on power, it starts to slide there, and worst of all, while you're going off power and braking and going into turns, it just behaves so badly that it's really inconsistent and not even fast. Look at this, a 145.220. Normally I'm able to dip into the 145s easily. And that's because of the tuning. Look at the gear ratios. Seems to be set up just the way it is with more power for the Trans Am series. Alignment? No camber in the rear, for some reason. And worst of all, brake bias at 45% and no deceleration on the differential setting. No wonder this thing just wants to turn on you in a bad way when you're going on brakes. So yeah, I had to do quite a lot to get rid of all these weird settings and try to come up with a, well, decent tune for the car. I hope I managed. I hope I kind of was able to do that, and I think I was. But yeah, this was a little bit of a struggle, and it took me some time to figure this one out, I have to say. But yeah, if you do a little bit of tuning on this, it can behave quite okay. Even for a Trans Am car, you can make this work, and it can be decently fast, as you'll be able to see in this lap. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you the tuning afterwards, and well, you can take a look at that, but it's also shared in game as always if you want to just get it and drive it. So yeah, as I said, this car was just added with Car Pass, so it's another car that not everyone has access to, but I think in this case it's not that bad. We already have a Corvette C7 in game, and I think that one might be a little bit better. I haven't tried it out all that much yet, but for example the Corvette C8 that you see in front of me as the Ghost definitely for me feels a lot better. But this one isn't bad, and well, you're gonna be able to see in this lap that I'm able to do quite a decent time, I think, with the tuning, and a lot faster, a lot faster than in its stock tune. While I have you here, by the way, if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, I would really appreciate it if you could do so. That would really help me out quite a lot. And while you're at it, maybe also hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. But here you can see a 144.127, not that bad. And that is all due to fine-tuning. So you can, as always, pause on every screen here. There are some things here where I'm not 100% certain that it's like the best setting. Gearing is a little weird with only 5 gears, and also some other settings I was just playing around with a little bit to see, like, to make it work for me, but definitely feel free to adjust for yourself, for your liking. But the car definitely feels a lot better with these settings than before, and it feels like kind of nice to drive. Not as good as I think the C8 Corvette that we have in game, but I think it's a decent one. And if you like this kind of style of car with the Trans Am, then definitely go for that. But enough talk about hot lapping and all the tunes. Let's actually also now take a look at the new track that was just added to the game, as well as this Chevrolet Racing Corvette. And well, Hockenheim, the new track, is one that I'm not all that familiar with, as you'll be able to see. And this race is, well, in places gonna go kind of okay for me, and in places not really, as this is also gonna throw me a curveball in the middle with some weather changes. But for now, let's get started here on Hockenheim. Started in P7 and already things are happening. People just don't know where the turns are, and yeah, a lot of things like that will happen. And yeah, starting in the midfield here is probably the reason why I'm really having a little bit of a bad time here. And yeah, hairpin here is always a place where I feel like people either on purpose or maybe also not on purpose brake too late, and then you need to be really careful and have a look in the rearview mirror to actually see if there's someone coming and if you need to avoid, because otherwise you're gonna have a bad time. And there are a couple of corners here where that's the case, but the hairpin I think is like the worst offender. Again, you can see still there's quite a lot of carnage going on in front. So far I manage, and I haven't been in like a very bad accident, but well, let's hope that it's not gonna come to that. There's someone off track in front, and I'm just trying to yeah, kind of keep it together here. The Porsche in front on the right, the black one, seems to be, I don't know if he's lagging or what's going on there. And here I'm not sure if I missed the braking point or if the guy in front was really early. Probably should have been a little bit more careful, but there was another guy that just snuck through because of that. So yeah, not quite sure what was going on. So yeah, through this section, this I feel like is quite difficult to do in a race because it gets so narrow here. Like the first part of the track is quite wide, but the end is quite narrow, which is interesting for a track like this. As I said, not that experienced on it, but I'm starting to get to grips with it. But for sure, some of my lines and some of my braking points here are not optimal yet. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt for sure. But yeah, we're driving, of course, the tuned Corvette, because I really didn't want to go into a race with the stock version of this car. It just would have been such a bad experience. I did try it in the beginning, was like, nope, not gonna drive this in multiplayer. And well, did the tuning that you saw in the beginning, and that actually feels kind of decent. As I said, I'm not like the biggest fan of the car, but I can manage, and that's all I can ask for right now. And here you were able to see another send into the hairpin. That just tends to happen here. But yeah, not a lot was going on in the next couple of laps. I mean, a little bit of fighting, but like nothing major, so we're just gonna skip ahead to lap number 5, which, as I said, did throw me a curveball here. I was like, I need to pit soon, and it just started raining. And I was like, well, what are we gonna do? It's not all that much yet, but it can become more, and that would be a big problem if I was on like normal tires. And going into the pits here, I think I make a, well, I wouldn't say it's a big mistake, but it's a mistake, I think. Look at this. The game says recommended mediums, and I'm like, nah, it's wet, let's take wet tires. I think the game has some kind of knowledge of how the weather is gonna unfold, because there has to be a reason that it said medium tires, even though it is raining and it seems to be increasing. So I maybe should have listened to that, as you'll be able to see in the end. For now, the wet tires are working well, I would say. The surface isn't all that wet, so like it could be a little bit better, but I was expecting, just from how the weather looked, that it would just rain more. Unfortunately, that will not be the case. The rain will actually subside in like 1 or 2 laps, I think, and well, that's gonna mean hell for the wet tires, as you will be able to see in the end. But at this point, I was in a position where I felt like I could do a little bit better, and I was not sure why I did fall back so far, but I think there are some people still in front who haven't pitted yet. So this is also part of it, as we will actually be able to jump a couple of people in the coming laps. Even though I'm P12 right now, that's not gonna stay. But yeah, as I said, the conditions here are not really optimal yet for the wet tires, and the rain will subside, so we are gonna struggle. But speaking of the car a little bit more, as I said, I'm not the biggest fan. Definitely, if you have car pass, give this car a try, but also, as I said, do a tuning. If you do mine or do your own, at least do something, because like you will have a really bad experience if you don't do anything and drive it stock. Like, I don't know how this got into the game, and someone at turn 10 said, yeah, this is totally fine, people can drive this in multiplayer. I'm not really sure. I know the tunes that are stock in multiplayer are all not very great, but like this level of bad, no, just no. But yeah, we did jump ahead a little bit once again and are now in our last lap. As I said, rain has completely subsided, and look at my tires. They are already yellow in the front, red in the rear, and well, we still have this lap in front of us. And as I said, also, we did jump a couple of people that had to go to the pit still, but those people seem to be just waiting out the weather, and well, probably have had a bit of a better luck in terms of their choice of tires. But right now we are in P5. Sadly, that's not gonna stay that way, as we are now in severe tire wear in the rear, and I completely lose it here. And well, struggle once again to get the car under control. That's something that with tires that are like almost depleted in terms of durability can happen quite easily. And you can see here, even just putting the power down and trying to go straight is a struggle at this point. So, well, at this point I'm like, okay, I already did fall back to P10, and it's not gonna like be pretty in the end. It's not that much left. Like, we are almost at the finish, but I'm getting pressured from behind and just trying to, well, get this car over the finish line. But once again, I push it a little bit too much in this right-hander, and well, the tires just say no. And you can see the bars for the rear tires are basically invisible, so they are completely bald, which means it's like driving on ice. You can see I'm just trying to go straight, it's just not happening. And that means in the end we actually finish in P13. Unfortunate, but it was just the case that I made the wrong decision in terms of tire choice in the pit stop, because the game did recommend something else, and I was like, I know better. It looks like rain, let's take wet tires. So that's another lesson I have for you. If the game recommends something to you, it most likely has some more knowledge about what's gonna happen, so it will most likely be the best choice to just take the recommended, at least in terms of tire choices. But yeah, that's it for this look at the TA Corvette, the C7 for the Trans Am series, that is also available in the GT series, as I said, for some reason. Give it a try if you want to, but do a tune, at least something to get rid of these weird values. It's, I think, necessary to have any amount of fun in this one. And I think if you do that, you can have fun if you like this kind of car. And yeah, with that, I just want to leave you with another reminder that you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the like button. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I've been HD Racing, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.